Folks, welcome back. Today we are going to address some of the criticism I've been getting on the channel and give you all explanations onto why I make the content that I do. And notice I say criticism and not hate, because we're talking about like actual criticism from educated individuals who just want answers, not, the emotional children who hear something that hits them in the feels and they get real emotional and they got to be keyboard warriors and try to hit back because, you made them feel bad. Not those idiots, right? Legitimate criticism. Two of the main things that I've been getting, I would say in the comment sections in the past couple weeks to couple months is really two things that stick out. One, Alex, you've been flip-flopping every single day. One day you make a bullish video, then you make a bearish video, and you're constantly going back and forth. You can't decide, if you're bullish or bearish on this market. It's fair. There's a lot of nuance, and I'm going to explain it, but I get it. Fair criticism. And then the other one is, Alex, you're out of touch with the, regular, investor or collector these days. You're only making content for the people up here. You're not making content for the regular individuals anymore ever since you went full time and, started heavily investing. That's fair too. Honest criticism. And a lot of these are coming from people who have watched the channel for many, many years. Probably a lot of you have reached out to me, talking about how you've made thousands and tens of thousands of dollars with some of the, the videos I've made and some of the, advice that you put to action, and you've done very well in the hobby. I know because you've sent me emails and you told me about your realized or unrealized gains, and it's been great. And so I wanted to respond to this and explain where I'm coming from so you guys understand that no, I'm not doing anything for clickbait. Obviously, I make titles and thumbnails for clickbait because that's the only way you can get the stupid, algorithm to push it and get people to click on the videos anymore these days, because that's the kind of, hobby that we're in. It's the kind of, social media environment we're in. So yeah, I do play up the titles and the thumbnails, but the information that I always give in the videos is 100% authentic, exactly what I believe and what I see happening in the hobby. And so over the past few years, a lot of you that have found the channel, right? We've been in a very different market, okay? We've been in a bear market or a flat market for most of that time. For a few months now, we've been into a very strong bull market, and now we're seeing, just all-time highs hit on some of this stuff in one of the strongest, most intense bull markets we've ever seen. And so you have to understand, of course, things are going to change. If you do not adapt, you will never have longevity in this hobby. It's just the way that you have to be able to adapt to the changing market conditions. Just like back in 2020, 2021, I had been very heavily invested in vintage over modern up until that point. I sold off a good portion of all of my, investment back in 2021 and took advantage of that massive bull run we were in. And what I learned after the fact was, as I saw a lot of the holdings that I had of, the vintage boxes I sold, the vintage slabs I sold, all the vintage stuff, I saw a lot of that stuff drop 50, 60, 70+%. A lot of the modern stuff that I saw drop 10, 20, 30% at some of the highest ends. And that is when I understood the hobby had shifted. That is when I saw that this modern stuff was likely going to be the better investment moving forward than a lot of the vintage stuff. And I saw that, the sales volume was keeping up even after that big, drop we had. And I saw that, a lot of the, the high dollar boxes from XY and Sun and Moon were actually holding up a lot better. And it told me that, hey, modern isn't this, like wild, wild west, like, gamblers mentality. Modern is a lot less risky, and it's where a lot more money is going to continue to be flooded into the years to come that we've obviously seen now. You look like a genius, all that stuff. But I saw a very real shift away from vintage and into modern back then. Right now, we're in another market shift, guys. We are shifting out of a bear market into a very strong bull market. And it's no longer this easy content because, look, it was so easy to outpace all these Looney Tunes in the market back in 2022, 2023, thinking modern was dead. This is all going to stay low for years and years. You're not going to outproduce the gains of the S&P. You should put all your money in vintage, put all your money in the stock market. Don't invest in Pokemon. It was so easy to make content against all of those narratives and all that rhetoric because it was an obvious play, right? Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Battle Styles, $80 a box, obvious play. Even when the Pokemon Center, booster boxes were about to sell out, like, oh, Fusion Strike's about to sell out, Chilling Reign's about to sell out, Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, Astral Radiance, buy them before they sell out at $143 a box. It was still such easy content, such easy takes to make, because it's like, Dude, these boxes are 2 years plus old. They're still $140 a box. Of course it's a pickup, right? Oh, the alt arts, some of the most sought after cards, some of the hardest to hit cards we've ever seen in the entirety of this hobby, how low they still were. Yeah, this is an obvious pickup. It was so easy to make that content. Oh yeah, Scarlet Violet base, Paldea, Paradox from Obsidian Flames, $80, $85, $90 a booster box. It was very easy to make that content. It was so obvious. It was staring you in the face, and everyone was like sitting around like, oh, I don't know, Alex. I think Scarlet Violet, if Pokemon investing's over, all the money's going to stay in Sword and Shield. No one likes these crazy hats. And I'm just like, oh, you people are making this so easy. Thank you. Now, everyone's caught on. Everyone started to buy in and understand how investable this hobby is. Everyone started to gain a lot of confidence when they finally saw, oh, yeah, you're right. This stuff is investable. I need to stop pushing back. I need to stop treating like this like it was Bitcoin 10 years ago and no one knows. Like, the cat's out of the bag. And because of that, it's pushed everything to these new heights that we've never seen before. We've never seen boxes like this in Scarlet Violet go to 200, mid 200s a box that quickly, right? And sit there and stay there and continue to have, very high sales volume at those prices. And so that is why you see the back and forth takes on the channel. It's not that I wake up every day and one day I'm bullish, next day I'm bearish, next day I'm bullish. There's nuance, guys. One day I can be bullish about a product or a segment of the market, and then the next day you may see a bearish video about a product or a segment of the market. Perfect example. Alex, you came out, you're very bullish on Prismatic Evolutions into this reprint saying anywhere from $100 to $120 is a great pickup to start building a position. I stand by that. I actually did it myself. But the next day you said you're bearish on some of these PCTVs and these PCTV promos that are being pumped to the moon. They're going for $1,000+ in a PSA 10 because the population report's low. Yeah, I stand by that. I'm bearish on that. I've sold off a good amount of my PCETBs in the last few weeks, a month, because yes, I feel like some of these things are very overvalued. I think we are going to see corrections, and I'm not saying they're going to crash. I'm not saying you're not going to be able to still have value in the future. I just do not think they're going to be the top performing items the way some people do. We can disagree on that. I don't see a lot of these cards holding value. I think some of these PSA 10s are going to be the same value, if not lower, in the next 3 to 5 years and not higher. And I think a lot of these PCTBs are hitting these kind of price ceilings, I would call them, where you might see the next 1, 2, 3 years, very little growth. I'm not saying they're going to crash, but you might not see really any growth, and they may still be $300, $400, $500 PCTBs 2, 3, 4 years from now. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have to put out content that feels authentic to me. And even though it seems like you're going back and forth between positive and negative, I'm just giving you my takes on what I see happening in the hobby. And the truth is, in bull markets like this, there are going to be things you're going to want to continue to buy. There are going to be things you may want to consider taking some money off the table, reducing your exposure and realizing some of those gains. And I'm going to keep making content like that, even though for some it seems I'm going back and forth, because there are going to consistently be opportunities that open up. There are going to consistently be things that seem overvalued and get overinflated that make sense to sell. And so that is my response to why it seems like things are back and forth. I'm not back and forth on the market as a whole. The market's strong as a whole. The hobby's going to continue to go forward, as a whole. But for anyone that's looking to pick things up, or anyone's looking to take profits on things and worried about their positions and don't want to see, their investments, lose, or don't want to be sitting in things that go stagnant, that is what I make content for, guys. Now, it's very easy to say, well, Alex, I thought you said any booster box would be higher in the future. I believe that. I definitely believe that. But let's just say this. Let's say Surging Sparks, $260 a box right now on TCG Player. Let's say you buy that and a reprint comes, big reprint, and it drops to 180. Okay. And then, it sits at 180. People are scared, kind of stay stagnant, goes up a little bit, maybe more people start dumping some on the market, goes back down to, it stays around 180 to $200. And then, it kind of washes out and, we're a year and a half in, and the reprints are kind of over, and people are kind of, Pokemon's moved on, and now it starts to run up again. Now it's 250, 260, 270, 280. And, maybe in 3 years from now, it's a $350 box. Let's just say that scenario happened. Well, $350 after shipping and fees, you paid $260 for it. You didn't do that great in 3 years. You probably could have done just as good, if not better, by buying the S&P 500 right now, buying the VOOs when the stock market's beat up, right? And so I have to make content to give that information. Yeah, it's up. Yeah, I think booster boxes are going to be higher in 3 to 5 years. It doesn't mean that all of them are going to be great investments, is what I'm saying, at the current price points they're at. Now, when the boxes are $80, $100, yeah, I think everything's a great investment. I think it's all going to beat the S&P in my opinion, especially if you hold it 5 years. That's my opinion. But buying into boxes at $250, now a conversation has to be had. Let's look back and see how long it took Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon and XY to get to $400, $500, $600 a box, right? Now let's say, well, if this gets to $500 a box and around the same time frame, is that really still the best place to put my money? And so, like, again, there's a lot of nuance, and that's why I give that nuance. Now, to address the other thing, Alex, you've changed. You went full time. You're talking up here. You're no longer talking down here. You're only pushing the expensive booster boxes. You're not talking about these other ancillary items other people talk about. That's why I like them. They're more for the regular person. All right. So let me explain to you a little something that's going to hurt. This is going to hurt a lot of people, and you don't want to hear this. Buying all of those ancillary items, they seem attractive because they're cheap. And then people can show charts and, price appreciation on things like collection boxes and tins and mini tins and whatever other item Pokemon wants to create, right? What they don't tell you is they're leading you down a path of destruction. Because although you can do well in some of those items, a lot of people, they go too heavy and they get large positions. And what they don't understand is the liquidity is not there. If you don't believe me, in the best bull market I think we've ever seen, go try to list a case of collection boxes. Go list a case of tins. List a case of mini tins. Go list those things on the market. See how long they take to sell. See how long it takes you to sell through any amount of quantity of this. Okay? Now go list booster boxes, see how fast they sell. That's the reason I don't like to push a lot of those items. Nobody wants to talk about liquidity. Now, this is during the biggest bull market you've ever seen. The liquidity is still low. Just wait until we're back in a downturn market, a bearish market, a flat market. It's near impossible to sell any amount of quantity of any of those items anywhere near market price. You throw them at auction, sometimes they'll go 60, 70% in a bad market. And booster boxes never do that. And that is why I do not talk about a lot of those items. I firmly do not believe it is a good place to store value. I do not believe it is a good idea to get large positions of a lot of these ancillary items because they are extremely hard to move in the future. Look, people reach out to me all the time. Alex, I got a $40,000 collection. Okay, send it over. It's one of a million different items that, I'm like, look, I can do one of two things. I can give you 70% value. What? That's a ripoff. Or I can give you 85%, okay, of the pack price. Because I'm just going to use it to rip the packs on stream, okay? Because that's all it really is worth to me, all these crazy items, is the packs. And they're like, but Alex, there's a premium on the okay, hey, go to TCG Player, go to eBay, list it all, try to sell it, come back, let me know. A lot of people have never sold things, and they don't understand there is a difference in liquidity and price points you can command for a booster box and some random collection box or some random tin. People only care about the packs or the promo card in those things, right? And, a lot of people that are shopping for those items don't buy in large quantities, right? So you may be an investor and you may have bought 10 cases of those things, but most people are only going to buy one by one, maybe one set of all the tins or whatever. And it takes very long time to sell those things. That's why I refuse to push a lot of those items because, well, unless it's a massive promo card that takes off, like, maybe like the Evolution, boxes back in, Sword and Shield with the alt arts, or, maybe the King Drug Greninja boxes and Shrouded Fable. There's things like that here and there. Other than that, a lot of these things are very difficult to move, especially if you want to command the premiums that you feel they deserve because, you've had some sales on the market show that. What you don't understand is, look at how many of those items are listed. Look at how many sell per day, per week, per month. And this is during a bull market. You need to be scared when a bear market comes. You will not be able to move a large portion of your investment if they're locked up in a lot of those items. And so although it makes good content and YouTubers can kind of play to your good side and be like, hey, you can't afford a booster box? No problem. Buy this $20 item. Look, these other $20 items went to $40. That $40 is not the same as a booster box going from $150 to $300. That double is worth infinitely more than those other doubles. Because the other thing is all these collection boxes, tins, they take all these kind of weird boxes to ship. The shipping's more, you got to ship one at a time, where people are much more likely to buy more than one booster box at a time. There's a million things to go into it, but that is why I don't like pushing those things. Also, yes, I'm at a point in this hobby where I no longer buy a box at a time. I do buy, cases and cases now. And so, yeah, I can definitely take that criticism a little bit, where I probably do need to, come down a notch sometimes, and then, talk to people who, either aren't at that level or just don't want to be at that level and just want to kind of approach it to more of a casual side, don't want to heavily invest. And so I definitely take that criticism, and I am going to try to make some changes to the videos and talk more to, people that don't want to put thousands and thousands of dollars in this hobby every month or every few months, and maybe do just want to buy a box or two and are looking for deals here and there, specials. But so I do understand that. But, as far as like the content changing because Alex is full time now, Alex has distribution. Guys, I don't get product from distributors. I have one distributor that allocated me a few boxes of Destined Rivals and like a few single ETBs and bundles, not cases, a few single ones. I don't get any real product from my distributors. I got my distributor late. I haven't been able to build up spend. It's impossible to build up spend. I don't get any of it. So this narrative out there that Alex gets all of his product from a distributor now, so he doesn't understand, it's the most BS lie I've ever heard in my life. I buy my product from the secondary market like everyone else. Now, obviously I have contacts in the hobby where I make private deals here and there. We make deals, PayPal, friends and family type stuff, we'll make trades, whatever it may be. So yeah, maybe I don't always buy off eBay or TCG Player, but I buy at a increased price on the secondary market from a secondary reseller, right? I don't get product from distributors other than a very small amount that basically equates to nothing in terms of the position sizes that I get. All my position sizes are bought after the fact. Maybe one day I'll be able to get product from distributor, and I'll be very honest and upfront about that. And I'll let you guys know when I get large enough allocations that actually make a difference. Right now, it makes zero difference. It's a drop in the bucket. It's nothing, okay? And so the idea that, I've changed because I'm full-time or I have a distributor, maybe some of the content has changed, but I don't have any different access than I did before. That's the truth. And so I'm still doing the same things that I've always told everyone to do in all of my videos, right? And so the opportunity is still out there in the hobby for everyone, for literally everyone. And I know that because I still have emails and people reach out to me every single day, sharing their collector apps or sharing, their spreadsheets of everything they bought since they started watching the channel and how much they're up and they've started to sell things and how much gains they're making, which brings me to the last point. I've talked about selling lately, and this is a change up because I haven't really talked about selling for the past 3 years on YouTube. And that's giving people, it's throwing people like, Alex, whoa, I thought you were an investor. Thought you were a long-term investor. Investors don't sell. That's a common misconception. Investors sell. The whole point of an investment is eventually you realize the gains and take the profits of what you invested in. And, even people that say they don't, sell or whatever, act like they don't, they do. They run sales to, their communities or, they move product behind the scenes. Like, everybody is buying and selling at all times, basically, especially when you reach any sort of level in this hobby, when you have large positions. And so, yes, I will make selling content from time to time. I don't sell a lot. I don't sell a great deal, but there does come times where things reach certain price points. Maybe it happens faster than you thought. Maybe the market conditions have changed. You have to reevaluate things. Maybe you think the money can be used better somewhere else. Maybe you just want to free up some cash because you think opportunities are coming. There's a million reasons on why you want to sell, but there definitely comes instances where selling makes sense. And I am going to keep making videos about selling, even though some people think that you invest, you never sell anything. You take it all to the grave or you take it all to the point you retire. And hey, you can do that. But in my opinion, I think you're more effective being more active in this hobby on managing your portfolio and kind of keep an eye on things every year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever you want to do, that you can actually, outperform a lot of the people who just never do anything. Now, the never do anything strategy, you're going to be fine, right? The whole 401k, S&P index, mutual funds, just never sell, always invest. You're going to be fine. But again, this channel is all about trying to jump the line, right? Not necessarily timing the market, but being more effective with your funds than other people are. So you can kind of start jumping the line and getting ahead of them and building wealth faster. And so that's basically hopefully addresses a lot of the criticism I've been getting from a lot of you guys in the videos and the comments, because I do see it. And I do want to let you know you're heard. And I do want to let you know that I'm not like trying to go off the deep end or, clickbait everybody, or, I've changed since I got a distributor, one distributor that gives me very little product, or, Alex, you're going back and forth every single day. I think you're losing your mind. One day you're up, one day you're down. Everything's fine, guys. This is just the market that we're in. This is the hobby we're in, right? Some things are good buys, some things aren't. Some things are buys, some things are sells, right? Some items are good to buy, some items aren't. And so I'm going to keep being as authentic as I possibly can on this channel. I'm going to give you it straight. Some things you're going to agree with, some things you're not. And that's up to you to make the plays. And guess what? I hope I'm wrong about some of these things. And I look forward to the emails I get in the future from you guys saying, hey, Alex, remember this video where you said this was a bad buy or a bad hold? Guess what? I bought it. I held it. Look how it's performed. You were wrong. I was wrong. I will tell you, yep, I was wrong. I got it wrong. I'm legitimately happy for you that you made money and you put your money where your mouth is and you believed in something. Congratulations. Keep it up. And I'll legitimately tell you that. I'm not going to be right about everything, but when I do my own research, I look at the data, I am going to relay what I feel about the research, the data that I see. And I'm just going to give it to you straight how I feel. Again, take it for what it is. So that's how this channel is going to continue to be, guys. For better or worse. Hope you guys rock with me through it. Hope you're not jumping ship. If you do, hey, look out below. Everyone that's going to stick around, really appreciate all your guys' support, all the continued support. Anyone newer here, I look forward to our journey together. And it's going to continue to be a good time, guys. Good hobby, good content, and we're all going to continue to make a lot of money in this hobby. That's all I got, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Back in a new one soon. I'm out.